Now, Drew kind of got shortchanged last year. His big opportunity to dethrone the beast that was Brock Lesnar was, stalled because of the COVID pandemic. Didn't have the opportunity to really have fans in the stands. And I think the WWE would probably tell you that the matches that struggled the most in that WrestleMania last year were the ones that weren't the out of stadium theatrical ones, the actual matches. Without the crowd reaction, I feel like it's just so hard to tell a story. And especially with those two and talk about, Brock Lesnar and Drew McIntyre's styles, it's just so hard to not have those shock reactions. A year later, Drew McIntyre's back here with that same opportunity. And then you have Bobby Lashley, who is currently the champion. And I've been watching a lot of shoot interviews from guys like Bruce Pritchard, Jim Ross, talking about Bobby Lashley. And it's interesting as someone who kind of also checked out of wrestling for a minute myself, to see him in that main event, the Battle of the Billionaires, Donald Trump, Vince McMahon, 2007. Apparently why he walked away from WWE is because he felt he wasn't getting the proper payday for the guy who drove the main event, the guy who brought all the money in, even though he was technically more in the middle of the show. They had the celebrity element to it. Bobby Lashley, he's back here. He's the champion. He's gained his respect within the WWE that he probably felt he deserved. Who do you see them going with in this match?
Oh, see, this is one that I've kind of struggled with because I'm always fantasy booking, as any good mark should do. Because I'm always looking, okay, what are they going to do for the next few pay-per-views? And, now they got to prove to NBC because all of WWE's content is on the Peacock app now. So Drew, like you said, he had a fantastic run as the WWE champion. Unfortunately, it was during Corona times. He won it during, the beginning of Corona, and he carried it through pretty much the entirety of the pandemic. And he did a fantastic job, given the fact that there was no fans in the crowd, no fans in the audience to respond off to. And that's most of the fun. Like when you're cutting promos and whatnot, responding from those chants that the fans make. Stone Cold Steve Austin's perfect example, the whole what? And he didn't have that, but he was not, in my opinion, knocking it out of the park, both in the ring, on the mic. And you kind of feel bad for the guy because one of the people that, grew up watching the product and had dreams of, becoming the champion. And here's your one shot as a champion, and it's during the pandemic. So that sucks. And, if he wins it and then goes on to, because WrestleMania is going to be the first time in a very long time that there's going to be fans in attendance. It'd be great to have him have that win back and go on and be champion for a little bit. But then Bobby Lashley, you said it perfectly. One of those people that was very underappreciated, kind of like the Titus O'Neil, where it's just like this beast of a dude, a legit athlete. He fought in Bellator. Speaking of, former, wrestlers that went off and, went into real sports, he went into Bellator and did damn good. I mean, and the guy's built like a brick shit out. He's just a phenomenal specimen of a man. So he, going off of like what Vince likes, these big muscular guys, he's the perfect person to hold your title. And a couple of years ago, there was this whole, thing where it's just like, hey, WWE has not had very many black champions at the top, WWE champions, had The Rock, who was half black. And then, Kofi Kingston ends up winning it, during that, uproar. But Bobby Lashley wins it, and he's very much a deserving black champion. He's everything you would want in a champion. And my hope would be is that, if Bobby Lashley wins, is that him and Brock Lesnar have a program. Because here you got two legit athletes, both two legit MMA athletes, both, UFC, Bellator, college champions, and, legit wrestling. That story just writes itself, two monsters just going at each other. We got Godzilla and King Kong, in theaters right now. This is the real shit right here. Like this feud with Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar just writes itself. So it depends on what they want to sell the Peacock network. Personally, I kind of want Bobby Lashley to win because I want that matchup. I saw Drew versus Brock, but we've never gotten Bobby versus Brock. So I'm shooting for Bobby, but it all depends on what Brock is doing. Because right now, Brock, as of right now, he does not have a contract with anybody right now. He's totally retired.
It's funny. People obviously give Vince McMahon a lot of shit for not giving the little guys the opportunities to hold the big titles. But it makes sense when you really think about it. Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar holding the belt, your most dynamic athletes being at the top. Because when you talk about suspension of disbelief, you know, you look at these guys, that looks like a champion, right? In a sport that has no weight classes or age limits. Yeah, you look at a Bobby Lashley, like, yeah, he can believably hold the belt.